Choose your words wisely. Your actions reflect your beliefs, not just at work, but all the time.
Hey friend, welcome to the Workforce Link podcast, where we offer forward-thinking conversations for the workforce, linking employers and job seekers to a brighter tomorrow. I'm your host, Sunday Joe, and I'm so excited to be here with you for another episode. Y'all, we're going to have so much fun in today's episode with my amazing friend, Becki. This girl right here is one of the most encouraging people that I know, for real. She's always speaking life to others. She makes a better person out of me, and I know after today's episode, she's going to do the same for you. Becki's been in management in the service industry for many years, and she has learned a ton of lessons along the way that we're going to discuss in today's episode. Leadership is hard, words matter, and it's important to have fun in our jobs. Those are just a couple of things that we're going to cover. And Becki really needs no introduction, so I say let's just get to it, shall we? Here's my interview with the Becki Duncan. Becki, thank you so much for joining us for this podcast today. Super excited that you're here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited.
We do so. We've done an interview, a kind of an interview in the past, and we had a little bit of fun with that. So I'm sure we're gonna have fun again today.
That was so fun. I've been ready for another one since that day. So let's do it.
This is a little less comedic, but we can make it as comedic as you want. But Tootie May won't be here, and for those of you who are listening, that's a whole nother podcast for another day. And maybe someday you will meet Tootie May Woolley. But Becki did an interview with her last year in the middle of the pandemic, and we had fun. I might put a link to that in the podcast for everybody to go watch and get a laugh.
She was in rare form that day. She brought her A game that day.
That's right. So, Becki, you've worked for a large chain restaurant in some form or fashion since 2016. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about your various roles in that field?
Wow. If anyone that's worked in fast food or service knows that your roles are always changing, but I was brought in as a manager, just a regular assistant manager, and then I was promoted to a general manager. So I had my own cafe. And then I was a training general manager where I actually trained other general managers that were coming in. And I rolled out delivery, and that was fun. Brought in a new concept of how we get orders to people. I was a catering operations manager for the franchise. A lot of different roles.
Now, you talked about the delivery. Now, that was almost rolled out about the same time as a worldwide pandemic came along. So, would you say that added a couple, 2 or 3 different layers of hardness to that role? Difficulty?
We had actually rolled it out a little before the pandemic, before we knew that there was going to be a pandemic. But absolutely, the minute that pandemic hit, we really had to change everything that we had known and relearn how to deliver to our guests.
Absolutely. Like you said, always evolving, always changing, always having to be on your toes.
Always.
So you worked in that role since 2016, and now you've moved on to a new adventure in leadership. Do you care to share more about that?
No, I am so excited. I have been thinking about this off and on for a while now. And after the pandemic and after experiencing managing during that and being a leader, I have decided to go to a different concept, and I'm going to do multi-unit management. I'm going to be a district manager for about 6 different stores to start out with. And they said eventually it could be up to 14 or 15. So I'm so excited to lead in a different capacity. And I really feel like it's going to be out of my comfort zone, but it's going to be very exciting.
That's a lot of people to lead.
It's a lot of people to lead, and it's going to be leading different than what I'm definitely used to, because I'm not going to be with people all the time. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for that challenge.
You just mentioned something I want to go back to real quick. You talked about being out of your comfort zone, and I don't think we can truly be call ourselves leaders if we stay comfortable all the time. And so this is a big step for you, stepping out of outside of your comfort zone. What would you say is one of the hardest parts of that?
To not know everything. Because after so many years being in one position, you really do know pretty much everything. And very few things surprises you. And if you don't know, you certainly have connections to know how to find answers. So to start fresh, that's really uncomfortable. And then
Absolutely.
we're in a different time now too, because not only are you learning a new concept and new policies and procedures, that pandemic, that's changed everything.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. It's changed the way we look at everything. It's changed the way we lead people. It's changed the way we run restaurants. Yeah, you're definitely switching into a role in a very interesting time.
And I think that the opportunity probably, if I'm being honest, presented itself because of such trying times. 2 years ago, it was almost unheard of for an organization to bring someone in for that kind of leadership role. It was always the goal to like hire and promote from within. But during the pandemic, they learned that all bets are off and we need to start thinking outside of the box and doing things different. So, in that aspect, the pandemic has been awesome. Definitely brought different
Yeah,
opportunities.
absolutely. I love that. That's great perspective. You know, leadership is hard. We've talked about that. We've talked about that several times,
Yes.
just between you and I, and the new roles that you're taking on and the previous roles that you were in. What advice would you give to those in roles of leadership?
First and foremost, I would say lead with your heart. Lead with your heart and lead with passion and conviction because policies and procedures will fall into place and you can teach anyone that. But lead with heart and people will be more excited to follow you and things will just be easier. But that's my number one. I always try to say to my new managers or someone I'm training, lead with your heart. Because if you're leading with your heart, what's the worst that could possibly happen?
Right. That's a powerful statement. I think our podcast is over right there. We can just end with that.
Well, and that was fun.
That's powerful, really. Hey friend, just want to interrupt you quickly to ask you an important question. Do you know your why? Here are some powerful words that I want you to sit on for a second. You lose your way when you lose your why. Everything changes for us when we start asking ourselves the right questions. Not questions like, why did I do that stupid thing, but why do I want to do something different? Listen, my friend, your children need you to find your why. Your parents need you to find your why. Your future boss needs you to find your why. Your grandchildren need you to find your why. And we want to help you do just that. That's why we've put together this free gift. You guessed it, How to Find Your Why. The free guide will give you some starter questions to get you on the right path to finding your why. If you're ready to rock your world by digging deeper into building a better tomorrow, my friend, don't wait another day to get started. You can download the free guide at cwdregion.com/why. Remember, you lose your way when you lose your why. Hold on to your why like your life depends on it, because your life depends on it. Again, you can download it today at cwdregion.com/why. And now, back to our interview with my friend Becki. John Maxwell, who's the author of The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, he says this in his book. He says, the main difference between the two, and he's talking about management and leadership, is that leadership is about influencing people to follow, while management focuses on maintaining systems and processes. Would you agree with that statement? Why or why not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone can manage or think they can manage, but you want to lead people. You want people to be a better version of themselves. You want them to understand why you're asking them to do something, why this is why we do things. You want them to bring out the best in themselves. It's not just about knocking out those policies and procedures. There's just so much more there.
That's so true, and I love that you see people beyond their role. You know, you a lot of managers, I won't necessarily excuse me, I won't necessarily say leaders, but a lot of managers just see their people as, "Hey, you're just serving food. Hey, you're here to do that. That's it, the end." But you see beyond that, and I believe that is something that every leader truly needs to grasp is seeing beyond what that person is in that role in that very moment.
Absolutely. And that's isn't that how you want it to be treated? Just like not even as a manager, but just as a person. That's how we all want
Absolutely.
to be treated. We all want to be seen.
Yes. Yes, great words. We all want to be seen. Speaking of words, I actually stole these words from you several months ago because they've just been so inspirational to me, and they just mean so much across so many different levels, but you said our words matter. Three very powerful words. Why do you think our words matter so much?
It's funny that you brought that up because I have been saying that for years, not so much as a leader, but as a mother. I think that probably my parents said that to me. In the last couple of years, the climate in our world has changed a little bit, and people are more aware of words and how they affect others. But when I first started saying that to my kids, it was just basic our words matter. That's the things like the please, the thank you, the yes sir, no sir. It's just a sign of respect. But then as we've evolved, we also realize that what we say is more important than, or is as important as how we say something. I'm always
Absolutely.
telling my new managers, don't get so caught up barking out orders that you forget to say please or
Mhm.
thank you or I appreciate that. Um, I'm real big on titles or calling people by name because, like we just said, everyone wants to be seen. It says, I see
Right.
you.
Right. Well, and I think this has been elevated even more through a pandemic. How important our words are. You know, you leading a restaurant, you've had people come in that have been extremely nice and understanding to your policies, and then you've had people who have come in and literally spit at you because they don't like the way that your organization has made changes, and it was really hard for you, correct me if I'm wrong, not to be discouraged, not only as an employee but as a leader of other people during that time.
It was really hard, and there was a lot of times we would stop and just be real for a minute. Like we can't control this. Like I mean, obviously, what we can control maybe at this moment is just us. Maybe the only thing right now at this moment, the only thing we have control of is us. And if that is showing empathy or showing, if that's all we can do right now is to control us, that's okay. Because yeah, it was discouraging.
Absolutely.
It
That
still is a little discouraging.
Yeah, because people are still using words, right?
Right, people are still using words. I don't think that you could name anyone that was actually very comfortable during this, year and a half.
Sure.
Everybody had something that they were struggling with, and yeah, it was really, really hard. And sometimes, as a leader, all you can say is, all you can do is you right now, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge lesson for us all, really. We only have control of ourselves. What are we going to do with that? We
What
can
are
only
we going to
control
do?
our words.
We can only control our actions and our responses. And also to take a step back and say, okay, an hour ago you were telling me how you're sad because you've missed this, and this. So let's just take a step back and see, okay, his behavior was not acceptable, but let's think, what do you think, he's going through? Just showing
Mhm.
some empathy.
It's a huge word, especially now, empathy.
It's
You
it's
know,
really hard to teach empathy. So that's when our words matter and our actions matter.
did I not tell you that my friend Becki was amazing? I hope you are enjoying this interview as much as I am. I wanted to interrupt for just a second to tell you about something else really amazing that's happening in the central region of Missouri right now. As an employer, you have a heavy responsibility in running your business, maintaining various aspects of the day in and day out operations. And sometimes finding that ideal team member to invest in the growth of your business can't always be your top priority. That's where the Central Workforce Development Region comes in. We can match youth ages 14 to 24 with employers like yourself in order to remove your barriers to productivity and their barriers to the start of a successful career. Success for today's youth doesn't happen without employers like yourself. So, how does the process work, you might ask? Well, our career managers work one-on-one with clients to understand their goals and remove any barriers which would keep them from success. We then work hard to match our clients to a career pathway that will not only remove their employment barrier, but put them on a road to a future of doing something they actually enjoy. Through our work experience and on-the-job training programs, you get a team member who's ready to work and invest in your business. We cover their wages and workman's compensation, and they not only get a paycheck, but a peace of mind that what they do matters. It's a win-win for everybody, really. If you're ready to build a better future for your business while helping the youth of Missouri build a better future for themselves, we want to help make that happen. To learn more about our program and find your next great team member, visit cwdregion.com/youth. That's cwdregion.com/youth. And now, back to the show. So, knowing you, I'd say that you're definitely a leader. You're not just a manager. You care about people. You've shown that with your actions. You've shown that with your words. And we all know there are bad leaders out there. There are good leaders out there. But whether we know it or not, right, we're always leading someone. We're either leading people in a confident direction or we're leading them in a negative direction. How do you see your words influencing your team members specifically for the good or for the bad?
Oh, we've had this discussion just not too long ago. And I think that something, especially this younger generation, needs to realize is that you you need to be aware of your words, not just at work or not just when you're out with friends, but all the time. We live in a social media age
Mm-hmm.
where anything that you say can come back at any time. So that's why it's so important that, you know, you choose your words wisely. Your actions reflect your beliefs, not just at work, but all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
really try to be the same with my children as I would be with my team or with my friends or my parents. And that's just something that comes along, not just like really with age, but with maturity. And when you
Right.
realize what kind of person that you want to be.
Right. You mentioned social media. That's something I would say to anyone listening to this podcast. Employers are going to look at your social media. As a matter of fact, it's going to be one of the very first things they do. So if your social media does not line up with who you portray to be on your application or your resume or whatever, I'm telling you, you're in trouble. Clean it up because that is one of the first things they are going to look at.
Before I make a phone call, I'm looking them up on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell people that all the time when I'm teaching. You clean it up. Let me just clean it up.
And be aware that things are out there. And
Mhm.
that comes back to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not who I was 18 when I was 18 years old. But this
Ooh,
is
me
what
neither.
and like this is what I did and I'm proud. Be honest and own it. Because
Right.
we are growing and I'm not the same person that, we've talked about this pandemic because it's just shaped us so much, but I'm not the same leader I was 2 years ago. So, be aware of your social media. If there's anything out there, be honest.
Right.
That just be upfront and say, hey, I did this and this, but you know what? This is where I am today. And they will respect you and they will see you in a different light.
Absolutely. And if they don't, you don't want to work for them anyway.
If they can't, then you know what? It doesn't mean that they're not a good person. You're not a good person. It's just not a good fit. And
Right?
that's okay too.
Absolutely. Right. So besides social media, what do you look for when you're hiring new team members?
You know, I obviously the cookie cutter answer should be, experience, work history. But I like to talk to the person and I like to, kind of tell them about me, how I lead, about the company that I work for and their goals, and see if they're buying in. if they, you know, if they understand, if they're buying in, and if they're showing me signs of being coachable, because we know that right now, especially, money is not a motivator like
Right.
it has been in the past. So there's not
Right.
that factor, and that people work for people, not companies.
Hmm.
So, is there some kind of connection there? What can I offer them? What are they looking for? And it may just be that they're a student and they have a 6-hour block each week that they can work. So, I mean, it might not be anything huge, but it's just kind of finding common ground and seeing, what we can do for each other.
Hmm. Well, tell me if you agree with this or not. One of the things I teach people is before you go into the interview, look up that company, figure out what their mission statement is, and talk to the employer about that mission statement, because the majority of people, they don't do that, and they don't know it.
I definitely. And then if just because my background is obviously service, go in and have a sandwich or go in and have a cup of coffee. Sit back and
Hmm.
watch. Who are the key players? What are they doing? Do you see yourself in anybody working there? And just be prepared and ask questions.
Yes.
Ask questions.
Yeah,
That
because
is so important.
yeah, when you walk into that interview and you've got questions and you know things about the restaurant that the majority of people don't, or not even the restaurant, just that organization, the employer is already impressed.
They're already impressed, and it shows that you do have a sincere interest in working there or a
Hmm.
sincere interest of being on that team. And I also always say, hey, do you have any more questions? And they usually can't think of anything. And I'm like, here's my number, because I guarantee the minute you get in your car, you're going to think of something. I mean,
Hmm.
I hadn't interviewed for I don't know how many years. And the minute I got home, I thought of something, because, you process, and it's okay to reach out
Yeah.
and ask questions.
And you're nervous. You're nervous. You got
You're
to sell
nervous.
yourself.
Yes. And there may be now, especially, there may be distractions, and so it's okay to follow up, ask questions, be prepared.
So, what do you think that we're doing in the workforce industry today that is moving us forward? And where do you feel that we still need improvement?
I was thinking about this the other day, and we kind of come back around because this pandemic has just changed business as we know it.
Hmm.
I always wanted to have the answers, or at least know where to get the answers. And then after this weird couple of years, I am going to people who may only work for me 6 or 8 hours a week. And I'm like, hey, I need fresh eyes. What do you see when,
Mm.
so I think we've opened up communication with everyone. It's not like a management versus team anymore. It's really like
Hmm.
just a team. So I ask and take advice from anyone and everyone. I think that, there for a while we were really unsure what the future was going to hold. And I had to ask my team to go to social media and and promote us, or let people know that we were open, and try to put a face to the business, which is something 2 years ago. I mean, that's the last thing you wanted, is anybody on social media. We know a lot of
Right.
things go wrong there. So I think we realized that our key people, the people that are on the front lines, ask them what they think, or how they're feeling about things, or what their suggestions are. And that's something that we just didn't do a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I want to take a second to brag on you. We were talking about something and it made me think of that. During the pandemic, you did something incredible that I didn't watch a lot of people do, that made you and your organization stand out amongst the crowd. During this pandemic, everybody was wondering, what are we going to do? Are we going to be open tomorrow? Is our restaurant going to stay open? Are we all going to have jobs? And you were
Yeah.
working so hard to not only keep your restaurant open, keep customers happy, but keep your team employed. And you did so many creative things, from on your own personal time with your own personal gas money, delivering food to our area, which we're actually neighbors for those who don't know, and our area is 30 minutes from where you work, and so you were doing everything that you could to make sure people still had a job making food, and it was so incredible to watch, because I would see banks ordering food this day, and I would see the pharmacy ordering food this day, and everybody was coming together to support you, to support your team members, and it was such an amazing reminder of the power of community, especially in such crazy times. So kudos to you.
Thank you. That was pretty amazing. Yeah, I definitely had, I have a lot of, because we were in a college town, a lot of students that were there and had leases and payments,
Mm.
classes that they had to finish online. And it was really important that if anyone needed a job and that had been working, that we keep them working. And,
Mhm.
it even came sometimes you have to be like, hey, I need your business. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
don't
was
be afraid to
amazing.
ask, right?
Right. Don't be afraid to ask. We did step back and really try to be compassionate to other businesses and to the small businesses and really not step on or take any business away from anyone else. But yeah, we really was just asking like, hey, we're here, we're taking this serious, we're going to do everything right, but can you give us some orders? And it really worked.
Yeah, it was so powerful to watch, just so amazing to watch. So Becki, we cannot live our lives and have all work and no play in our world. So tell me one thing that you love to do for fun.
Sing in my kitchen or
Ha,
anywhere.
yes.
Sing anywhere.
So what's your favorite music to sing?
Right now, I'm in an 80s music kick. I think I watched some things on Netflix, as we all have watched a lot of things on Netflix.
Right?
And I kind of got in the 80s kick, and I've just been kind of kicking it old school. Kids at
So
work,
has
oh,
your hair gotten bigger as you started listening to the 80s stuff?
my hair's gotten bigger. It's gotten a little louder. The kids at work always used to say, "Can we listen to Becky's prom music?"
That's awesome. Yes.
That's kind of fun. Nobody can be mad if you're, screaming out Bon Jovi or even the Beach Boys. Nobody's going to be in a bad
Absolutely.
mood.
Well, Becki, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation with us and just share things that you were learning. Before we close out, is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners?
I would just say that, especially like everything that we've went through, and we don't know even for sure how things are going to play out. Just remember that every day that you are called to be a manager or a leader is a gift, because managing is truly a gift. It's not going to be comfortable and it's not always going to be fun. But at the end of the day, you have been afforded such a gift, because leading people, I mean, what is more important than leading people?
Hmm. Yeah, there you go, folks. It's a gift. Don't waste the gift, right?
Right.
Well, Becki, thank you so much again for just hanging out with us today. We truly, truly appreciate it and can't wait to see what happens in this next chapter for you. So good luck.
Thank you. Maybe next time Judy May can do a what happened next.
That sounds fun.
Bring
Definitely.
her on next time.
Yes. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did. I told you that you'd walk away a better person after hearing from Becki. And if you learned one thing from today's episode, which I know there's way more than one thing, remember this, that our words matter. And speaking of words, word of mouth goes a long way, and we would love your help. If you're enjoying the Workforce Link podcast, would you mind heading over and leaving a review wherever you listen to this podcast? This helps others find us, and that's our goal, to enjoy these conversations with as many people as possible. And preferably a 5-star review would be great. Have a great week, my friend, and we'll meet again in the next episode. Until then, remember this: there's always a brighter tomorrow if you're willing to find it. The Central Region Workforce Development Board Incorporated and COPIC are equal opportunity employers and programs. Auxiliary aids and services are available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Missouri Relay Services at 711.